Some monsters are born, not made. They wear a face of an innocent child, but it's just a mask to hide the darkness underneath. Back in 1992, a low-budget horror film took this idea and made it so unnerving that it crashed headfirst into real-life tragedy. This is the story of Mikey, a movie about a 9-year-old psychopath whose fictional killing spree felt so horribly real that it was yanked from distribution, banned in the United Kingdom, and left on the shelf for years. We're going to unpack how a slasher film starring a cute kid from a wholesome 80s sitcom became one of the most controversial and unsettling portraits of childhood evil that was ever made. The film doesn't ease you in, it throws you straight into a massacre. We meet young Mikey, played with a creepy vacant stare by Brian Bonsall, right after he's murdered his entire adoptive family. He started a fire, drowned his little sister in the pool, and even bludgeoned his foster dad with a baseball bat. When the cops show up, he's just a scared little boy hiding in a closet, spinning a tale about an intruder. It's a shocking way to start, making it clear from frame one, Mikey isn't a troubled kid, he's a monster. We, the audience, are the only ones who know the truth. Casting Brian Bonsall was a twisted stroke of genius. At the time, everyone knew him as Andy Keaton, the adorable mop-topped kid from the hit sitcom Family Ties. Seeing that familiar, friendly face playing a remorseless killer was deeply unsettling. It used our own expectations of what a child should be and turned them against us, making Mikey's actions feel even more wrong. He's a predator who has learned how to act like a normal kid, a wolf in sheep's clothing. This isn't a story about a child becoming evil, it's about an evil thing that just happens to look like a child. After the first murders, a psychiatrist, completely fooled, recommends Mikey be placed with a new family right away. He's adopted by the Trentons, a nice, hopeful couple who have no idea what they're bringing into their home. Mikey plays the part of the perfect son. He's polite, charming, and sweet. But you know the monster is just waiting for a reason to let the mask slip. Mikey is a classic psychopath. He feels no remorse, no empathy, and he's disturbingly good at manipulating every single adult he meets. The film shows him as a master of disguise, able to cry on command and fake trauma to get out of trouble. This is when the movie's real horror kicks in. It's not just about the violence, it's about the cold, calculated deception behind it. His manipulation doesn't stop with his parents. At school, his teacher, played by Hellraiser's Ashley Lawrence, gets a bad feeling about him. She sees his violent drawings and catches him in lies, but the principal just brushes her off. The very system meant to protect kids is completely blind to the one who's the real threat. Things get even darker when Mikey develops a creepy obsession with his teenage neighbour Jessie. He starts stalking her, secretly videotaping her from his bedroom window. This detail is one of the film's most disturbing touches, showing that he doesn't just want to commit his crimes, he wants to watch them again and again. To get rid of his competition for Jessie's attention, he kills her cat and then murders her boyfriend. It's a terrifying jump from psychological games to outright violence against anybody who gets in his way. For all its psychological terror, Mikey is a slasher film at its core. It doesn't shy away from the genre's gory moments. The kills are brutal and inventive, showing just how creative the little killer can be. The electrocution scene of his first foster mom in the bathtub is a classic slasher scene, made 10 times more shocking because the killer is a 9-year-old boy. One of the most impressive technical scenes is the death of Mikey's first foster dad. In the scene that feels like a twisted, humorless version of Home Alone, Mikey booby traps the floor with ball bearings. The stunt was incredibly dangerous and expensive. The production had only one take to get it right because the cost of the large sheet of breakaway glass that the stuntman had to fall through. Rigged with protective gear, the performer slipped, slid, and crashed through the glass in a slow-motion way to make the impact look as brutal as possible. These scenes are straight out of a slasher playbook. We've seen mass killers do this stuff 100 times, but when the killer is a 9-year-old boy who was just playing with his toys, it hits much deeper. The fear that innocence can be corrupted, or even worse, that sometimes it was never there to begin with. Mikey was initially passed by the British Board of Film Classification with an 18 certificate in late 1992, and it was all set for its UK video release. But in February of 1993, a real-life crime occurred that was so horrific it stunned the entire nation and sealed the film's fate. 2-year-old James Bulger was abducted and murdered by two 10-year-old boys. The country was in an uproar, desperately looking for something to blame. A moral panic exploded, with the media pointing fingers at violent movies, which they called video nasties. The film Child's Play 3 was incorrectly linked to the case, and it created a firestorm over whether horror movies were influencing children. It was during this time of fear and anger that the press discovered Mikey, a movie about a child serial killer about to be released in a country grieving a real-life child-on-child murder. This was a public relations disaster. Parallels, even if they were just on the surface, were too much to handle. Under intense pressure, the BBFC's director James Furman did something almost unheard of. He recalled the film's certificate. After consulting with child psychologists who said the film could be harmful to its viewers, the BBFC officially rejected the film in 1996, and to this day, it has never been officially released in the United Kingdom. When Mikey first came out, critics hated it. They called it exploitative and trashy, just another cheap entry in the killer kid genre. But as often happens with banned movies, the controversy only made it more famous. Horror fans started seeking it out, passing around bootleg videotape copies, precisely just because it was forbidden. It became a key piece of evidence in a never-ending debate about censorship and media influence. For decades, the film was a piece of horror history, a cult classic whispered about by fans. But its story isn't over. In a surprising move, a brand new limited edition Blu-ray of Mikey is set for release in 2025, marking its official first UK home video release. Packed with new documentaries and interviews, this release is giving a whole new generation a chance to see the film and reconsider its place in horror history. Not just as a B-movie, but as a film that accidentally became the centre of a nation's grief and fear. The story of Mikey brings up some tough questions. Was the BBFC right to ban the film and protect a grieving public from something that hit so close to home? Or was it an act of censorship that unfairly punished a work of fiction for real-world horror? The debate is still ongoing. What do you think? Was the ban justified? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Mikey is a fascinating and deeply disturbing piece of horror history. It's a movie that dares you to look at a child's face and see a monster. Brian Bonsall's performance is chillingly empty, creating a villain who is both terrifying and has no conscience. But the film's legacy wasn't sealed by its script or its actors, but by a tragic twist of fate. Its fictional horrors were completely overshadowed by real-world crime so devastating that the film itself was deemed too dangerous for anyone to see. It's a grim reminder that the scariest monsters aren't always on the screen, but the ones walking among us, hiding in plain sight.